Hello, my name is Jay Calenad, author of Relics of Hyrule, and I am here to tell you some information about how an idea gets into the mod. So, I come up with a lot of ideas, and a lot of people suggest things, so how does something get into the mod? Well, there is a process to it, and this video might be a little long, so bear with me. You can suggest things on the Nexus page, post it. That's not the best way to get an idea to me. The best way is through the Discord. So we have a Relics of Hyrule Discord. We have an ideas channel. I actually have it muted, as you can see. But if you suggest an idea here, people will discuss it and see if it's feasible, and then once it's feasible, they'll pitch it to me, and that will end up in the Relics of Hyrule Ideas spreadsheet. And this is a very long spreadsheet of every idea, most ideas that have been suggested to me. And you can see there's a few different sections, but the question is, how does something end up in the confirmation section? Like, why is Lanayru Mines in here? Versus a rejection, like why is the Wolf Link in rejections? Why is the one-hit obliterator in rejections? Well, there's a process. I have to think about all these ideas, and it takes a long time for things to actually get into the mod. As you can see, these are ideas that were suggested for like 6.6.0, and only a few of them have been added. It takes time. So definitely be patient, and if you want to have a higher likelihood of your idea getting in, the most important thing is to refine it. The mod has been around for a long time, so there are a few things, a few guidelines. I don't want to call them guidelines, but it's the best term for it. There's a few criteria that I sort of instantly look at as to whether an idea is feasible. This is the guidelines chart. You can find it on the mod page in the post section right there, and it's on the Discord. It's pinned in the ideas channel and in the FAQ channel right there. So take a look at that. This is kind of a quick way to see if your idea is feasible for the Relics of Hyrule framework. It really is a framework because I'm not just adding everything. Relics of Hyrule is not just Zelda mods in Skyrim. Zelda items in Skyrim. It's a Zelda mod for Skyrim. That's what I meant to say. Check out the Misconceptions video if you haven't already. I kind of address what Relics of Hyrule is and some misconceptions around it. But basically, the idea is there's some things that just don't fit. I can't add them, or the mod will start to unravel. And I want to keep its integrity. It's been as good as it is because I have been very strict with certain things. And some things will fit. So let's run through a few of these criteria. You can read, so, just so you know, if I don't accept your idea, or if I change it, or we agree, quote-unquote, agreed on something, this is my project, and I have to work with it the way that I feel is best. It's my temple, it responds to my decree. So it's not a betrayal, it's just reality. So if you're insulted by the fact that I didn't accept your idea, I'm sorry, but this is my project. If it's a Zelda character, if your idea is a Zelda character, no. That's a hard no. No matter who it is. Navi, no. Tingle, no. Ganon, nobody. If it's dialogue or a quest, I'm not really interested. I don't really want to add quests. It's not going to work. If it's a pseudo quest, like there's nothing that goes into the journal, there's something that could be said for that, but I want to plan that stuff out myself. If you do have a suggestion, I'm open to that, but if it's enters into your quest journal quest and adds markers, it's not going to happen. If it's a Zelda game mechanic, very limited potential means virtually no. So a game mechanic like walking underwater or breakable pots, it's just not what this mod is about. Burnable bush, You can get that experience from a Zelda game, and I'm not trying to translate a Zelda experience into Skyrim. I'm trying to do something a little different. If it's a novelty, get out. No, I'm not doing that. If it's just cool, you need to add more to it. I can't just add something because it would be cool. If I just add nothing but cool things, then what's the point? It needs to fit into a framework. Relics of Hyrule is supposed to be this kind of like... It's supposed to weave into Skyrim, and if I just add cool things because they're cool, it starts to not work. If it's a nitpick, no. There's very limited potential, but like these need to be handled carefully because I hate nitpicks so much. I feel like they destroy they're not good for the creative process. It's just not worth it. If it's a small detail or a nitpick, there's an argument to be said that it's important, but I'm not really interested in wasting my time with that kind of thing. So just be careful when you're suggesting those. Master Sword, get out. No, I'm done with the Master Sword. I'm not worrying about it anymore. If it's related to the archive, I really, really worked really hard on the archive, and it really took a toll on me, and I'm not really interested in overhauling it. That's another thing here. I'm not really interested in redoing anything that I've already done with the archive. And if there's a critique for the archive, like it's not Legacy of the Dragonborn, then I'm not interested. So just, that's another thing. Be very careful with what it is. Like, you need to really justify it. Is it a new hint system? No. I don't want new hint systems because we already have some. We should beef those up. The Lens of Truth, the Gossip Stones, those should be beefed up, not make a new one. Is it a balance change? That could work. I don't know. It depends on what it is. Balance is tricky because some people expect certain things. I can't balance to every load order. I have to aim at vanilla Skyrim. So if it's a balance change, there's very limited potential there. Would it be game breaking if I added it? Something like Rivali's Gale, jump, high jump. That would break the game, so I'm not going to add that kind of thing. Is it a patch? Not interested in that, but the reason is I can't really maintain a bunch of patches. If you have a patch suggestion, pop it in the Discord in the Community Works section. That's where the community can make some patches. Can it be made without immense effort, and can it work in Skyrim systems? This is the first good potential. That is what we need to do. Skyrim comes first with Relics of Hyrule. So if it can work in Skyrim, and it can use Skyrim systems, and it can be made relatively easily, there you go. Is it convoluted, complex, or incredibly intricate, which is the opposite? That is very limited potential. Intricacy is not what I'm going for, because the more intricate something is, the more likely it is that it'll get messed up somehow. So I'm trying to go for simplicity. There you go. Does it require a customized model? There's moderate potential here. I can't make models myself, but the community, so if you pop it into ideas, somebody in the community might be able to make one. Something else to mention is I don't want to ask permission from another mod author. And by that I mean I don't want to have to approach another mod author and say, hey, that model for the I don't know, the Tingle Tuner, that model for the Tingle Tuner looks really great. Can I have it? I don't like approaching mod authors and reusing their work. I would rather have it made specifically for Relics of Hyrule, or somehow I can make it. Who knows? If it can be made by repurposing a Skyrim asset, like retexturing it in a way that's virtually unrecognizable, then there's good potential there. If it's an enemy, there's very limited potential, because enemies are not easy. So enemies need to have a good, properly rigged model, and they have to sort of be based on their location. I can't just add a Deku Baba and then build a location around that. I need to build a location first and say, okay, this needs a Deku Baba, and then from there I can start to consider enemies. There are a lot of enemies in this spreadsheet. Let's see if we can find one. They're probably in the unsure category. Yeah, Helmasaur, Helmarock King, Icy Pose, Shadow Insect, Freezarv, Gleeok. See, they're all kind of in the unknown category. I actually have an idea for Gleeok. But, see, that's the thing. Like, I need to figure out where they can go before I add them. So, you can suggest an enemy, but just keep in mind that they are the hardest thing, and they're the least likely to be added. Now, the source of the idea also is important. Is it from a main series Zelda game? That is high potential. So if it's from a main series game, like Link to the Past, Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, if it's from one of those, then it can work. If it's a tiny item, we'll get to that. But if it's from a main series title, then it can work. If it's from a spin-off, there's limited. So if it's from Hyrule Warriors or Tingle Game or one of the CDI games, then, well, if it's Tingle or CDI, there's no potential because that book is closed. But if it's from a spin-off game, like Hyrule Warriors, there's limited potential. I want to prioritize the main series titles. If it's Elder Scrolls related, that's where it gets kind of limited. This is a Zelda mod, and it does put Skyrim first, but I want to avoid a lot of Elder Scrolls stuff because I don't want to step on any toes in the Elder Scrolls department, if that makes any sense. I want to keep the lore kind of vague. So, if it is from Zelda, is it iconic? Is it something like the Ocarina of Time? That's iconic. Is it Majora's Mask? That's iconic. If it's something small, I don't want to, I don't want to focus on anybody, and I don't want to make an example, but an example is the Mask of the Moon from Majora's Mask, the mask that's on the mayor's chair, Link's scarf from Hyrule Warriors, Pumpkinhead from Oracle of Ages. These are things that are very small. They can only be found in one game, and they're not really iconic. Nobody has fond memories of these tiny things. I mean, I say that, people have fond memories of all sorts of things, but they're not fitting to Relics of Hyrule, and they wouldn't add much. That kind of falls into the, is it just cool? Is it a novelty? I'm not here to retell any Zelda stories. I'm here to tell my own story in Relics of Hyrule. If it could shed some light on that story, on that Relics of Hyrule story, and it's not iconic, so if Link's scarf could tell a compelling thing, not just some throwaway line like this is the scarf that Link wore, there needs to be something else there. That could have some potential, but not great potential. If it's a lore suggestion for Relics of Hyrule, there is very limited potential because I know what the sort of story is going to be, so I am the master of the lore. I'm open to suggestions, but it's not going to work super well. There could be some possibilities, but it's not going to work super well. Is it inspired from Zelda, but adapted? So if it's inspired by Zelda and adapted to Relics of Hyrule, that could work. Really, Relics of Hyrule is an adaptation, and it can't be directly one-to-one, because then Nintendo might break down my door with fair use and stuff like that. I am doing this for free, which is another thing to keep in mind. This is free, so I'm not under any obligation to do anything. I could just stop this at any moment's notice. I'm doing it for free. And I don't want to get in trouble for, I don't want to replicate a Zelda experience. Which is why the game mechanics are very limited, because I don't want to replicate that experience of playing Zelda. Because then I'm replacing Zelda, and I don't want to do that. If it's a direct connection, There is no potential. So something like Zoras are descended from Argonians. Khajiit are descended from, I don't know, Sigurs or something like that. That contradicts Elder Scrolls lore, and it muddies Zelda lore. So it's a cool idea to say Red Mountain is Death Mountain, but then that starts unraveling all sorts of things with both Zelda and Elder Scrolls, and I don't want to do that. It's better to say Red Mountain is just a volcano, and Death Mountain is a volcano. Just because they're both volcanoes doesn't mean that they're related. Just because Argonians and Zoras both lived in the water doesn't mean they're related. So I don't want to make those direct connections. That's one of the biggest things. No direct connections. If it connects Zelda to Elder Scrolls in a simple or respectful way, then there's some good potential there. Like, Deku Babas can be found in Valenwood. I don't know. Things like that. They migrated to Valenwood, but there's no, like, direct connection. There's just, like, a brief explanation for why you can find things in certain places. That could make sense, but I don't want to overtell. I don't want to overdo it. And then finally, if you were rude when you suggested it, if you were just like, oh, the Locomo sword looks like crap. It's the ugliest sword I ever saw. You should replace it with a cool-looking sword that looks better. Thanks. Then I'm going to throw that idea right out. If you were insulting or you were arguing with me, that's another surefire way to get your idea thrown out. If you were insulting or if you badgered me, like I said no and you're like, yeah, but wait, what about this? And I said, no, I'm not interested. No, wait. Hear me out. I'm going to throw the idea out. If you try to force me to add an idea or change something, that is a surefire way. Suggest your idea and do it respectfully, and then let me think about it. A surefire way to get your idea rejected is to push me or insult me or something like that, or argue with me. Be patient. Please do not try to push me on anything. There are a lot of ideas here that... an example for one that I'm just like... iron boots making you sink underwater, or walk underwater. This is an idea that has come up so much, and people keep bringing it up, and at this point I'm just like, no, I'm not doing it, because I'm sick of hearing about it. So that's another thing, is just, please do not push me. Please be respectful. Please understand this is my project. I want to enjoy working on it, and if I get bombarded and argued with about something that I have no obligation of doing, it's just not going to be enjoyable for me or anyone else. So, that is sort of a rundown of how the Civ works for Relics of Hyrule. Hope you enjoyed this insight, and definitely check out some of the other informational videos, and until we meet again, goodbye.